Okay, so first things first, this is from Jennifer. We live in Nashville, really enjoy your weekend updates, Ethan. We want to move to Franklin, can be flexible on timing. We're most interested in Fieldstone Farms and Cottonwood area. Anything North Franklin, really would love an update on those neighborhoods. Thanks. Awesome. Let's get right into it. So this neighborhoods that she's talking about, if we look at Franklin, here's your core of Franklin. Let me zoom out just a little bit. This is kind of in between Nashville and Franklin is Fieldstone Farms. We're going to zoom in to this neighborhood real quick. You know what? Let's just show you on this map. So we come up here. Fieldstone Farms is really on both sides of Hillsborough Road. Hillsborough Road just takes you all the way up into Green Hills. So you can get up to Green Hills, you can get down to Franklin. It is a little bit of a drive to get to the interstate from here. It's like 10 minutes. That being said, this is an extremely popular area here. Sorry, I was just north. So Fieldstone Farms, we have Cottonwood, and we have Meadow Green Acres right here. Along the edge is River Landing. So there's a clump of neighborhoods in here that all kind of run together. Now, Fieldstone Farms has two pieces to it. There is kind of a more expensive section on the eastern side of Hillsborough Road. And then Cottonwood, I put Meadowview Acres. Guys, the cuts I'm doing help drill down, but they're not going to be perfect. Okay. Sometimes you're going to clump a couple of neighborhoods together. And sometimes they can be different. I know there's two neighborhoods that are somewhat different in here. So in the front part of the neighborhood, you're going to have lower prices in Meadow Green Acres. In the back part of the neighborhood, a little bit more expensive, though Cottonwood has traditionally been a more affordable area and neighborhood than a lot of Franklin. That being said, on the backside of Franklin, the backside, you do have River Landing, and these neighborhoods runs along the river. Now, this is a very, very family-friendly neighborhood. And so it's been very popular. It also has, I know that Fieldstone Farms has rental permitted, and Cottonwood, I believe, does, but they may have changed the rules, so I'm not positive on that as of recent. But that does impact, the number, there are investors that buy in these areas as well. Now, Fieldstone Farms, closed volume 50 over the last 12 months, active listings 6, so that's a fairly tight when it comes to inventory. Look at the contract volume. You can see there are 3 under contract right now with the 6 listings. Let's take a look into the charting. Now, one thing to keep in mind, we did have that Q2 peak in prices, and it did drop since then, but it did bounce up in 2023, and there was a new high. Now, you can see in Q4, it did drop off quite a bit, but I can tell you this neighborhood is a hot neighborhood. Here's what I mean. There are not a lot of new builds around, and because of that, you're starting to see premiums on these lots, essentially the land value, right? Because you can build for well below $300 a foot, and yet we're starting to see a lot of these houses go for over $300 a foot. And I do think that continues simply because I've seen this neighborhood be really hot this year, especially on those single floor houses. So a ranch style house is selling for a premium right now. I mean, I've seen 2 that were priced. One was priced actually on the high side of fair. It was actually highly priced in my opinion. It went instantly with the cash offer, and they had multiple offers. And that just happened in the past month. I saw another one this past week. So it's not like it's not happening anymore. That being said, there are some active listings that have had a hard time. You can see the one under contract right now. This one, I want to say that's the one that was priced fairly low. And look, you can see it's priced fairly low. It was a ranch style house. To be honest with you, I thought it was mispriced. Someone got a great deal on it, and it went under contract before even showing. So of course, I don't know the ins and outs of it. I never actually got to see it. It went under contract before it was available to view. So maybe it was under contract sight unseen. I don't know. Anything under 500 in Fieldstone Farms, though, is a good deal. Now, that being said, there is a house that's having a hard time selling right now that's actually assumable. It's this house right here. It's $500,000. It's got an FHA loan on it. Now, it's had a hard time selling. It's been on the market for a long time. It's not a big house. It's 1,600 square feet. And you can see they have been trying to sell this really since, I guess, it's only been on the market a month. But they've dropped the price several times from $550 to $500. This is actually a good deal. They do need to sell it. And I will tell you, the fact that it has an FHA loan, if I was going to buy something and just try to get a good deal, I mean, this is a good deal. Okay. You can get probably potentially, right? The seller has to agree to do this. And I don't know the seller would agree to this, but you could probably get a 3% mortgage on this if you had $150,000 down and get into Fieldstone Farms on a $500,000 house, which is going back to my chart here. Let's look at the pricing area. you can see 400 is the, 415 is the absolute floor. It looks like a couple sold for 415. I can tell you guys that is, and then you can see some on the bottom selling for 480. I can tell you it is getting hotter in there than it was last year. Okay. It just is. It just is. I don't understand it. It's expensive, but it is kind of, the price is moving up. It wouldn't surprise me at all. You see a lot of closings come out in February that are really strong. Well above 300 a foot. Look at that one. This 274. What address is that? 412 Cannondale. Hey guys, I got a huge response from my last video, and I've wanted to provide neighborhood deep dives for a while. I spent a lot of time creating a tool to analyze neighborhoods, and I am happy to do this. If this is helpful to you and you are planning to buy or sell, please reach out, because even if I can't specifically help you or you're not in the area that I cover, I'm happy to refer you, and that greatly supports my ability to continue to do this. So without further ado, let's get into the data. So let's look at Cottonwood real quick. You can see the price per square foot is, again, the median has been well above 300. You get into Q4, which, guys, seasonally, Q4 is the best time to buy to get a good deal. Now, I know a lot of you have kids, especially if you're looking in this neighborhood, which is why you don't want to buy then, but it's also why there's good deals then, because people that are selling in Q4 need to sell their house, and they know there's not nearly as many buyers. So you're looking for a deal, Q4, try to buy it November, December. I'm telling you, nobody wants to buy it. If it's on the market, a seller wants to sell it, that's when you get a good deal. It's hopping now. It's spring. You can see we've got 1 under contract and 3 active, and you can see the price points. There's one that's actually $265 a foot. Typically, the lowest price house isn't going to be the best value simply because it's priced low for a reason. That's not always the case. If it's just listed, it may just be mispriced. So that's another thing to consider. But typically, to get a good deal, you need something that's been overpriced, set on the market for 30, 60 days, and then you give a very strong, easy offer to them with a much lower price. You can get a much better deal doing it that way. One thing to notice here is the massive number of closings that happened between May and August of 2023. I think if you go back and look, you can see this pattern pick up. I mean, it's kind of hard to see. In 2019, it looked like there was a lot of Q4 sales. But in general, I think this is a seasonal neighborhood. And I think this is pretty common for Franklin. Franklin works on the school cycles. A lot of people move to Williamson County for the schools. And so you do see the May to August be prime time. It's when the most listings are going to come on. It's when the most things are going to go under contract. So you will see, I think, a lot of opportunity in the Cottonwood area come this spring, especially when you get April, May. At least that's what it is seasonally. So that's something to keep an eye out if you do want Cottonwood. Now, Cottonwood prices, what you're going to see in Cottonwood is probably $700,000 to $900,000. There are some that go below 700, but these down here are the Meadow Green. They're not in the actual Cottonwood neighborhood. You're really looking at somewhere between 700 and 900. You get into the million, these are actually the River Landing. These are a little bit nicer houses on the north side of Cottonwood along that drive that leads up to the backside of the neighborhood along Harpeth up here, which is River Landing. Cottonwood, Fieldstone Farms, all these neighborhoods do have a more seasonal component to it. They also, I know Fieldstone Farms allows renting. I'm not sure about Cottonwood, but I think they do too. That does impact the number of not just families that want to live there, but investors that potentially want to place their wealth in Williamson County. Something to think about. To give you an example, Ladd Park has been very soft. They've been hammered by the new builds, but also they banned renting. And I kind of wonder if that's impacted Ladd Park. So just something to keep in mind. Rentals will keep prices up in areas, in my opinion, in my experience. Okay, let's move on. There's one other neighborhood. You said North Franklin, and I want to show you one other neighborhood, and that's River Rest. It's just north. This area is also in that 5 to 800, 6 to 800. I know the median price is 510, but really a lot of these are condos in here, and that's why you might get a lower median price. This neighborhood is right across from Grassland Elementary, a very popular elementary school, and we actually lived here for a time in one of the condos. And so I'm very familiar with this neighborhood. It's a beautiful neighborhood. It's very popular, very family friendly. A park where a lot of the kids go and play. There's a hiking trail in the back. I'm partial to it, and maybe it's because I spent some time there. But again, it's along the Harpeth River. You're not going to get, there's such few volume. The pricing charts really aren't going to help you a whole lot. The bottom line here in this neighborhood is you just think price point, you're probably going to be 700, 900. You can see that you look at the houses that sold, these were all really small houses, like 3 beds, but like 1,600, look at that, 1,377 square foot, 1,526 square foot, 1,592. These are small houses, and they went from 500 to 650. So I think if you're wanting a little bit larger house, like a 3-bed plus, you're probably looking 700 or 900. And you can see they don't sell very often in this neighborhood. Low turnover in this neighborhood, but it is a great neighborhood also. I wanted to give a call out to that in that price range. Those are the neighborhoods that come to mind when I hear you talking about North Franklin. Everything else is just in a much higher price point. If you're interested in a higher price point, we could do neighborhood deep dives on that. I hope this is helpful. Again, feel free to reach out if you are buying or selling in any of these neighborhoods. I'm happy to give you the most data-driven approach to buying and selling that you can get. I think we're very, very competitive on the value that we offer.